Good evening, America. I'm Gene Bailey, and you're watching FlashPoint. Glad you're with us tonight. It's Thanksgiving week. A lot of people planning to do a lot of things, so I hope you got all your turkey bought. We're going to talk about the price of turkey. I know you find it hard to believe, but they're telling me the price of turkeys actually came down along with the price of gas. Can you believe that? Let me welcome into the show tonight, to start us off, Rick Green and Luke Ball. Luke wins the award for wearing the merch. Thanks, Luke.
Thanks for sending it to me. And I always have to dress a little bit worse than Rick Green. That's the goal.
Which is a challenge sometimes. Yeah, I understand.
I don't have a hat. I got like a Gettysburg, Pennsylvania mug. I got nothing with FlashPoint on it. Gene, you need to send me some coffee mugs, man.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought we did send you mugs. We did.
It's about the ratings,
you did.
Rick. You got to hit high ratings in order to get the merch.
Yeah, I guess I'll try. Yeah.
All right, so
I do have that sweatshirt.
Yeah, sure you do. All right, so listen.
I just wear it around the house. That's it.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You guys should be going to Israel. Are you going to go to Israel with us?
Hey, Luke, I think Gene just said he was going to pay for us to go to Israel. I think that's what I heard. Is that what you heard? Gene was going to treat us to Israel?
If he won't get you a coffee mug or any of the merch, you're not going to Israel.
He got it. Man.
No, Gene will
that's
pay
what he's
for
gonna do
a
is give me a
camel
coffee
for
mug
you to go
instead of Israel.
It's a one-way trip on a camel for you, Rick. Yeah.
That's what it'll be.
Thanks.
All right, so listen, we are going to Israel in 2026. You got me all flustered again. Keep up with it. April 27th through May 6th. And listen, we're going to have a great time. Sea of Galilee, Mount Carmel, baptism in the Jordan River, Garden Tomb, Western Wall, of course, and then we're going to walk through Hezekiah's tunnel, the pool, Siloam. You don't know what all we're going to do. We're going to have a great time. So let me tell you what has happened. Here's the big news. We just rolled this thing out 2 weeks ago, and you guys have almost filled us up. We're like 9 slots away from our 150 cap that we were trying to stay at. So we're opening it up further. We're going to spread it out, give another bus. So what that means is I need to get more, I need to fill it up. So there's room. Well, what you need to do is go to the website, fparmy.com/Israel, sign up. We lowered the price to keep it as economical as possible so you can come join FlashPoint friends like you, and who knows if Rick Green might show up, or we'll do something. I'll buy him a T-shirt or something and get him to come. But we're going to have a great time. Listen, you guys, if you really thought about going to Israel, there were 1,800 of you that said you were interested. You got the email. I'm telling you, don't wait. Please sign up. Go on and register, pay the fee, and get your name secured in the Israel tour in 2026. Also, all of our events are out there, almost all of our events. By the time we get into December, the rest of them will be all on the website, but most of them are. And make sure you can see where we are coming in 26. We have an aggressive schedule this next year, and it's not everything. So we're looking forward to seeing you there. One thing that we are doing is that we're going to Constitution City. Luke, you should come to Constitution City, Texas. I don't know if they let you in.
If you buy me a trip to Israel and Rick buys me a trip to Constitution City, I'll buy you guys a trip to Round Hill, Virginia, where I just moved. We can go see the Exxon gas station in the center of town.
Woohoo! All right.
At least a Dairy Queen. Come on.
Yeah. So we did invite
Constitution
you.
City.
We did invite you, Luke. I hope you're coming. Are you coming?
Did I get an invite?
Yeah, you did.
I haven't gotten an invite yet. Well, I did just move houses, so it's possible the invitation got lost in the mail. But
I've heard that
the Andy Griffith Show pilot said, we raised enough money for a stop sign, but we hadn't raised enough money for the road just yet, and that's kind of like the town that I'm living in right now. We got to raise some funds before we get the Dairy Queen.
Well, okay, so
I will. Since I have cottages for most of our guests, but I will have a tent available for Luke. I'll have a nice little tent for him.
Is that a pup tent or a 4-man tent?
Yeah, just a little, it's going to be, yeah.
Listen, it'll work.
All right,
the tent was good enough for the Lord in the Old Testament. I can stay in one for a couple of nights.
Okay, so listen, it really is worth your trip to come to Constitution City. Rick, tell them what they're going to see and learn and do when we come to Constitution City with Patriot Academy.
Well, everything they've gotten used to and accustomed to when they go to a live FlashPoint event, just the camaraderie, the iron sharpening iron, the incredible atmosphere, 2 live nights from our legislative hall. So FlashPoint Live will be, man, it's going to be amazing right there in our legislative hall. But then you also get the Flash Talks and you get the Patriot Experience, which means you get to go through a full legislative simulation. You get to really see how a constitutional republic works from the inside. We'll be doing communication training. How do you testify in committee or at your school board? What if you want to run for office? What are the things you need to think about? I mean, it's going to be a fantastic weekend full of incredible training.
All right, so what would that training normally cost for people to come do that?
Normally, you'd spend $125 to $150 a day, so basically about $350 to $400 for that. Because they're the FlashPoint Army and they're friends of Gene, it's only $79, man. It's a steal.
So people are saying, I know some of you are going, I thought your events were free. They are free. However, we can't fit thousands of people at Patriot Academy. So we've reduced the price.
It's really just to reserve it.
To reserve the slot. So, Rick is making it work for us. So there is a fee, but listen, you're going to have a great time, and we're going to have a blast. But that's on the website too. Go on, reserve, get your slot fixed so you can join us. It's a very unique FlashPoint event, and I think we're going to have a great time. Hopefully, first of many, as long as Luke doesn't do something that embarrasses us, gets us kicked out.
It's a big if.
I know it is a big if.
Gene.
Big if. All right, well, let's get into the news of the day and what's going on, because I want to talk about, there's lots of good stuff to talk about. Here we go. Nick Sorter posted this breaking. It's official. President Trump has just signed an executive order directing Secretary Rubio to classify Muslim Brotherhood as foreign terrorist organization. All right, so we mentioned this last night, Rick. What does this really do for Americans?
Well, it's definitely a step in the right direction. I'm hoping it's just a first of many steps. I think it only designates certain portions of the Muslim Brotherhood in certain parts of the country based on activities that they've had. I would prefer to designate the entire organization and anyone closely associated. Didn't go quite that far. I think they're, I think just taking the first step, and at least it opens the door, and it begins, well, for us, it continues the conversation. For a lot of people in the country, it begins the conversation about the threat of Islam, and at what point does freedom of religion become nothing but a shroud, nothing but a cover for what is really an ideology that wants to take over and that is not compatible. Certainly, people will agree Sharia law is not compatible with Western civilization and with our Constitution. At some point, you have to look at the way that Islam is reacting in some of these other countries, certainly in Europe and in Australia, right, is also, even if they don't take it all the way to Sharia law, is not compatible because they shut down everybody else's freedom of religion.
Luke, let me get your way in.
Yeah, seeing this spike of Sharia law across the country is really concerning. It kind of shows that there's some sort of ulterior motive at play. I believe it has to do with also the amount of illegal immigration we've had coming into our country. I think that instead of individuals assimilating to the United States, they have brought over things that frankly made their country a very poor and bankrupt country to begin with. And so seeing this spike, especially in places like Texas and seeing it over in Michigan and Minneapolis, these little hotbeds are symptoms of what's to come. I think that the left has kind of welcomed this with open arms, and it's just deeply concerning because it is completely antithetical, not just to a Christian worldview, but to an American worldview, a place where we allow for individual freedoms. That's not something that Sharia law offers up. We could go down that rabbit trail of all of the atrocities that have been committed at the hands or blamed at Sharia law. And therefore, I think that being able to designate this as the president has moved forward with is a great step, as Rick said, in the right direction.
Sebastian Gorka said this: it should have happened the day after 9/11, but it didn't. Every president was ignorant or anti-American until real Donald Trump arrived. God bless the commander-in-chief for initiating the terrorist designation of the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, let's go back, though, here, Rick. I mean, it was a different nation back then, and then 9/11 hits. Everybody, I think the bulk of American population was just flat out scared. They didn't know who was who and who do we trust, and so they didn't know if they should go too far. So, it's easy to look back at what presidents did or didn't do and bash them. But you kind of understand the nation was in a real transition of understanding, although it should not have taken this long.
Yeah, I think, look, the Bush administration did some things that they thought were strategically the right way to go. If they were going to go into Iraq, go into Afghanistan, if they were going to go after the terrorists around the world, they did not want to be fighting every Muslim nation on the planet at the same time. And so that was the Bush doctrine. You're either with us or you're with the terrorist, and we're going to do a preemptive strike here to prevent from being attacked again. But let's not forget that we had been basically silent and neutral for decades. And this was after the first World Trade Center attack in '93, the Cobalt Towers, the USS Cole. I mean, Beirut, you just go down the list. We'd had multiple attacks from radical Islamic terrorists and not done much about it at all. And so, hindsight's 20/20, but I do think there were some very difficult strategic decisions to be made. And I realize that President Bush is not popular today with conservatives because of him not supporting Trump and buddying up to Clinton and all that. And I get all that, but I also try to get in my time machine and go back to the decisions in 01, 02, 03. And frankly, I think President Bush did a very good job of taking on a very difficult situation. So anyway, I think I totally agree with Gorka, though, that, listen, Muslim Brotherhood has been at the heart of all of this for decades, and we have buddied up to them too much here in the United States, and we no longer need some of those strategic alliances that Bush was trying desperately to hold together. So I think Trump's the one guy that could do this and do it right, but again, it's limited. The current designation is limited, and I forget which live event it was where we had Andrew Cedra. And he laid it out for us, man. Australia and what they're facing is coming here. And Luke pointed it out. I mean, you got these pockets in Minneapolis and Michigan and now Dallas and all over the country. And I think most Americans are completely unaware of what we're up against. This is this is the threat. And I'm so thankful, Gene, that you keep bringing this to the Flashpoint audience, because there's going to take a lot of educating and, frankly, a lot of us thinking through, how do we do this? Like, how do we balance the First Amendment, and at what point is the line crossed? And is Islam a religion, or is it a political ideology masquerading as a religion? I mean, this is where the discussions are going to have to go.
All right, Luke, you're there in D.C. every day that you work, when you're not there at the gravel roads that you live on and somewhere in Virginia.
The Ponderosa.
Yeah. So, are you seeing more Muslim population in D.C.?
We have a strong pocket in Sterling, Virginia, which is just a few miles from here, and there's major mosques that have popped up. It's really interesting to see, especially when I'm traveling in airports in particular, that people will be walking around, and then you'll look over and you'll see like a large group of individuals who have pulled out their mats and are praying. And so it has cropped up, and there's little pockets that have come around Washington, D.C. itself. I've not seen so much on the federal level political activism. Now, I've seen some creeping. I've seen instances like with Ilhan Omar and a handful of others who have introduced ideologies that are antithetical to the United States, and yet her constituents seem totally supportive of it and totally fine with moving forward on a couple of issues that are completely antithetical to the fabric of the Constitution and a Christian worldview for sure. So I have seen instances of it. I think it's almost a multifaceted attack.
Right.
It's not just an attack on the Christian worldview. It's not just an attack on the United States. But I almost feel as if the country and the media are content with people focused on like one attack at a time. You'll say the woke ideology on the left, while Sharia law is popping up on another part of the country. Or you'll look at the Somalia immigrants who have come over and who are getting elected in cities and countries across the country, or cities and counties across the country, and are bringing ideologies from their countries that basically made their own countries devastated themselves. So I think if we understand that there's issues popping up that maybe we might have relegated to a 2001 mentality, they're still very prevalent today. And that's why we have to be on our most heightened sense of alert to understand that it's not just the woke left and their ideology, but then you'll start to pivot over here and see, oh, there's this going on as well. And it's very much on the rise in the United States.
Very much. In fact, that's why this year in our Flash Talks, we're going to dive in deeper on Islam. And Terry and I have been diving deep on our own time to really educate ourselves. I thought I understood. This is such a deep topic, and you've got, there's a lot of lying involved, and there's a lot of sects and different Sunni and Shiite, and how do they all fit together, and what does this mean, and should I run or not? And listen, we must educate ourselves first. So we're going to talk about that this year at our live events, where we're able to take a little bit more time and explain Islam, explain the Quran, explain how it got to be there. And was Mecca really where Muhammad was born or not? We're going to lay out a lot of facts on you that are backed up, that you can understand, so that you can talk to someone, or when someone talks to you, you're well equipped. So that's coming up. So we just want to keep that. Let me show you what else happened recently. Breaking news, Fox posted this. Ukraine agreed to a peace deal that would see an end to the war in Russia. U.S. official tells Fox News there's some minor details to be sorted out, but they've agreed to a peace deal. Ukraine's decision to agree to the deal came hours after Russia launched overnight attack in Kyiv, where they killed at least 6 people, injured 13. All right, Rick. Okay, so when I read this and when I heard this, I'm like, great, until there's some minor details to be sorted out. That's the big stumbling block that I see there. What kind of minor details could there be that are keeping this peace deal from happening? I don't know. Maybe it's because of everything we've gone through in these wars. I just don't believe it yet. Do you see it that way?
Well, I think it's also because of the players involved, right? I mean, we know that Trump can make this thing happen, but we know that Zelensky is a joke. I mean, and those of us that have never taken him serious and didn't kiss the ring and worship the guy like unfortunately a lot of Republicans and Democrats both did, we're offended every time the guy opens his mouth. I mean, I am, at least. I mean, last week his response to this deal was, how humiliating it would be for Ukraine and all these other things. I mean, it turns my stomach. I mean, the guy, they would not have a chance if it hadn't been for the U.S. helping, and I think we helped too much and got too far involved. So I think that's where I feel the same way you do. I'm like, okay, wait, what are these details, and what is Zelensky going to use as an excuse to enrich himself even more? So those are the reasons I think we're doubtful. But now we go back to so many topics this year where we said, trust the guy in the room. And Donald Trump being the guy in the room and Marco Rubio, the guy in the room negotiating this, I do have some faith that this can happen. And I also think it's because Ukraine's running out of options. I mean, at some point, this has got to happen. This can't go on forever. And they have zero chance without us. And so Trump's finally the one willing to say, we're done. We're not going to keep doing this for years and years and years. So that's why I think it can be done. But I think you're going to hear Zelensky squealing the whole time.
I think you're right. All right, here's John Solomon and David Brody. Break it down. Watch.
This follows negotiations involving U.S. officials in the UAE. And by the way, we should make clear that what they agreed to was something that the United States proposed. So it's, in other words, it's an agreement between Ukraine and the United States about a potential peace deal. Now we wait for Russia. Join us now with analysis on the breaking news is editor-in-chief for justthenews.com, John Solomon. John, this is big, and I'm curious to get your reaction.
Yeah, well, as you pointed out, it's a deal between Ukraine and the United States, not against the other warring party. And if you look at the two agreements that the United States structured, one with Russia with 28 points, one with Ukraine with 18 points, there are some major sticking points. For instance, which land will be given up and which land will not be given up? What is the status of Ukraine's ability to seek NATO membership? Those are two big points for Putin that are right now not in the Ukraine deal. So why is that important? It means that there's another negotiation to go. It's great that the U.S. and Ukraine have one idea. It's great that the U.S. and Russia have another idea. Now Russia and Ukraine have to take those two ideas, which have some pretty significant spread between them, and mesh them together in a peace process. By the way, that's how peace deals are put together. You get one side, you get the other side, then you get the two sides together to explore where they're apart and where they're willing to give and make concessions to get to a final deal. It's a good sign. It means that the president's strategy, his deadline is working, but it does not mean that Russia and Ukraine yet have a deal for peace. More work ahead, but very positive progress by Marco Rubio, President Trump, Steve Witkoff, and some of our allies who've been extremely helpful in the last few days.
Okay, Luke, give me your thoughts. We're going to see something happen here soon?
Yeah, on the last week of the campaign in 2024, I got to be with Steve Witkoff for a little bit, travel around with him across the country. He's someone who's very intelligent, very capable, and we've said it all along. If anybody could bring an end to this war, it's the art of the deal president, the guy that just wants to bring peace across the world. I think Rick's spot on with his analysis of Zelensky. We've seen along the way him be just sadly disrespectful to the United States and to the Oval Office. I understand there's stresses of war, but when you are coming to somebody who could literally end the conflict, there's basic rules of decorum that you have to follow, and that if his advisors told him to follow, he just outright ignored, or they didn't come to the United States with, frankly, an amount of competence that they should have. I also think there's almost a liberal element to how he has been treated as a celebrity on the world stage. So when he came to the United States, it's almost as if he felt a little bit entitled, and the president was like, we are literally the ones who could end the conflict for you, and you haven't even bothered to say thank you. You show up wearing something that looked like the Salvation Army had a garage sale, and you disrespect our country while we're the ones that are trying to end the conflict. So a lot of details to be worked out back and forth. However, the ultimate goal has always been to get to a place where there is peace, even if both sides walk away a little bit upset. That's the basis of a good compromise. It just felt like along the way, the entire time, Zelensky and many of the folks on the left in the United States wanted to get Ukraine back to where the pre-invasion borders were and basically give Ukraine everything back that it had before Russia. You know, everyone would love for that to happen. It's not grounded or based in reality. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said that. And because of that fact, I think it's been a little difficult in the minds of many in established D.C. to get to a place where they would accept any sort of compromise and not like 110% win for Ukraine. So I am confident that the president will get us to a place of peace. It will be another notch in his belt of ending wars and conflicts that, as he said, probably never would have happened under his watch, but did happen under Biden's watch. So I'm very hopeful and confident that we can end this.
Rick, before I move on, I'll give you a chance to wrap it up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something Solomon said I think is one of the core issues here. And I'm the first to admit I am not a foreign policy expert. This is not my area of expertise. But the NATO membership, I think, is something for people to just continue to keep in mind. I think Trump was very clear during his first term that was never going to be on the table. Biden is the Biden administration dangled that to Ukraine. And I think that's part of what caused this thing to be prolonged. It's part of what has messed it up all along. We know that's bad because if they get NATO membership and then Russia attacks again, and these two countries are going to be at it again at some point, whether it's 10 years from now or whenever, then we're bound to now go in and defend troops on the ground, whatever it takes. And so Trump has always said that is not going to be, something that we do. I think Rubio is smart enough to prevent that from happening. But I think Solomon mentioned that as one of the things they're going to try. Ukraine's going to try to insert back into the deal. That'll be one of the key factors to watch for, and maybe what was causing you to have a concern about what are these details they're talking about. That's going to be one of the ones that could mess up the whole deal. Well,
we'll continue to watch it and bring you the latest when it happens. All right, let's go back to, we brought this up last night about the seditious six, and the uproar has not subsided at all. So let me show you this. This is Lisa McClain. Representative Lisa McClain silencing Wolf Blitzer on CNN. You need to watch this clip just because it's Wolf Blitzer. Watch.
Should members of the U.S. military or the intelligence community, for that matter, obey what are clearly illegal orders if in their mind what they're being told to do is something illegal? Should they still go ahead and follow those rules?
You're asking an enlisted person for their opinion on what they think is legal or illegal. That's a pretty slippery slope. Wouldn't you agree with that? So that's an interpretation. And what the president has done is not illegal, right? So I would say follow the chain of command. Follow your commander in chief. That's the oath that you took. Because if you leave everything up to interpretation, you could interpret things one way. I could interpret things another way. And that is a very dangerous situation to put this nation in.
If you want to go back and watch last night where Mark Meckler disagreed with everyone all the time, it's a good show. But let me, it was really a lot of great input yesterday. Here's the thing that's may backfire. It's that Mark Kelly loved to talk about his naval career and all that he did. And it's what a career. However, he is still under that Code of Military Justice, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, that he has to abide by. So he's really, Rick, the one on the hot seat here that can actually have some repercussions. The Department of War says this. Department of War received serious allegation of misconduct against Captain Mark Kelly, U.S. Navy retired, in accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All other applicable regulations, a thorough review of these allegations has been initiated to determine further actions, which may include recall to active duty for court-martial proceedings or administrative measures. Now, and of course it goes on, and you can find it if you want to really read all that. Here's the thing, Rick, that I see in here, is that this is a bigger deal than someone just not agreeing with President Trump or wanting to play politics and do liberal politics and kind of throw a jab to launch. This could really backfire on, in fact, I think it already has backfired on Mark Kelly. But what is at stake is all of the future. You've got every military person out there that has been adhering to the Uniform Military Code of Justice. This is a big deal for future generations, future enlisted men, officers. I mean, this could really backfire on them. What do you think?
Yeah, it goes back to the atmosphere that it creates. I mean, listen to Wolf Blitzer's words there. If in their own mind, that was his phrase, if in their own mind the president is giving them an illegal order. Are you kidding me? Like, what does that even mean? I mean, how many people in the military, I bet even Mark Kelly couldn't tell you what Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 15 is all about, the calling forth and militia clauses. I doubt he could talk to you about Article 4, Section 4 and the guarantee clause and the invasion clause. I doubt he knows even much about the different insurrection acts that have been passed or when George Washington used the first one in 1792. we're going to expect some guy on the front line to know all of that, and in the moment, in receiving an order, try to create some legal opinion in their own mind to decide whether or not to obey orders. I mean, this is dangerous, dangerous stuff to create that kind of doubt in the minds of our men and women in uniform. Now, listen, I'm all for having every member of the military go through my Constitution classes or somebody's Constitution classes and study the document that they're swearing to uphold and to defend. But to put the burden on them to decide what's legal or not legal, I think what we said last night still holds, and that is that there are extremes. There are absolute extremes where if you got a whole lot of legal experts coming out and saying what's happening is not good, or the Supreme Court says what the president's doing shouldn't be done, they give their opinion on that. Okay, now you're getting into a situation where you can really back up a legal theory and thought that the president's doing something that's wrong, and maybe you decide, hey, I'm not going to take the jab. You can't make me do that, or whatever the particular instance might be. That is not what this is. Everything the president is doing that they're actually objecting to, other presidents have done. I mentioned it last night. 12 different presidents over 20 different times have done these same kinds of things. And so they are creating a real weakness in our military and in our nation over what is really not even a debatable topic. They just don't like the politics of it. They don't want to lose the thugs and rapists and murderers and others that they welcomed into the country illegally. They don't want them to be deported because they run up the numbers on the census. They're willing to sell us down the river and destroy our cities and our states in order to hold on to political power. That's what this is really about. And thankfully, we have a president willing to say no to all that.
Yes, thank God. Thank God indeed. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to let you see what Mark Kelly had to say, because he said, I'm not intimidated. Yeah, I know. All right, more after this. We'll be right back.
Step into the land where the Word became flesh. In April 2026, join Gene and Terry Bailey along with FlashPoint guests you know and love for a powerful prophetic journey through Israel.
We're coming to Israel, and I promise you, you may have been on a tour, but you've never been on a tour with FlashPoint.
Worship where heaven touched earth. This isn't just a tour. It's an encounter with God in the land of miracles. Space is limited, so reserve your spot today.
You're invited to a special evening with the FlashPoint Army. Join Gene and Terry Bailey and other special guests for the FlashPoint Gala on Saturday, December 6th at 6 p.m. Together, we'll celebrate all that God is doing through the FlashPoint movement and look ahead to what's next. Enjoy a beautiful dinner and an inspiring word from our keynote speaker, Dutch sheets, and so much more. Register today, fparmy.com/gala event, as space is limited.
Kick off your 2026 with FlashPoint in Houston, Texas, January 8th and 9th. Join Gene Bailey, the FlashPoint team, and a selection of influential speakers at the Church of Champions for 2 powerful days of bold voices and unshakable truth as we bring insight for this time we are in America. Register for this free event at fparmy.com/events.
It's breathtaking. A tsunami of darkness threatens to wash away all we hold dear if we don't act now. In Killing America, turning the tide on the tsunami of darkness, Gene and Terry Bailey bring hope, help, and chart a course that leads to America's restoration and renewal. Don't wait. Get your copy at killingamericabook.com and counter the tsunami of darkness with a deluge of everlasting light.
Welcome back. We've got much more to go here. I do want to remind you, come join us for the gala right here in DFW. Gala event, fparmy.com/gala event. Join us Saturday, December 6th, 6 p.m. A lot of your FlashPoint guests will be there, as well as a lot of fun. We've got a lot of special information that we have not shared with anybody. We're going to share with you that night. It's not going to be on TV. It's not going to be televised. We'll have a camera running around getting footage, but this is going to be a great evening. I hope you can join us. Go online there, fparmy.com/gala event. Be the first to find out some stuff. So love to see you there. Of course, Israel, you saw that. And Houston, I don't know if you noticed who's coming to Houston the 8th and 9th. You've got Nolene and Andrew Cedra. You've got Martin and Millie Cedra. This is going to be an explosive 2 nights there and flash talks during the day. Houston, we're kicking it off big time there at the Church of Champions. I look forward to seeing you there. I want you to join us. So go on there, go on the website, find out everything about it. All right, so I said before we went to break, I wanted to show you that Mark Kelly, he's not intimidated at all. Listen to what he said on CBS.
The president tries to intimidate them. He tries to intimidate Congress. He looks at government accountability as a nuisance. And I think it's really important for people to understand, Margaret, that the message he sent a couple days ago was he declared that loyalty to the Constitution is now punishable by death. Those are serious words. Coming from the President of the United States, he's trying to intimidate us. But, Margaret, I'm not going to be intimidated. You know, you just heard Jason Crow. He's not going to be intimidated either. We both served our country. We swore an oath. All we said is we reiterated what basically is the rule of law, that members of the military cannot follow illegal orders.
Okay, Luke, I'll let you take a swing at that one.
It's establishing a false premise that the president is issuing illegitimate orders that are unconstitutional. And as we mentioned before the break, it raises the question in these service members' minds who are not lawyers, who are not people who are well-versed in every minutia that maybe their senior officers are well-versed in. Do I actually have to follow this order, or can I ignore it? It follows a pattern on the left. If they can justify in their mind that something they are doing is righteous, whether it follows the law or violates the Constitution or whatever it may be, they can justify that action. It reminds me of Peter Strzok and Lisa Page at the FBI after Donald Trump won the first time, texting one another, what are we going to do? Don't worry, we'll stop him. The pattern we've seen through the Department of Justice under previous administrations, using lawfare to go after the president. And the president's response to this was not like we're going to go out and commit some sort of violence or anything like that. It's kind of like Smokey the Bear saying, you know, if you play with fire, you're going to get burned. He's saying this is some really serious stuff. And I guarantee you that if a service member ignored the orders of their superior officers, those senators and members of Congress and whoever else was in that video are not going to show up to their court-martial because they are only doing it for political reasons, trying to establish that false premise in someone's mind. And then there's a couple of them like Mark Kelly that I've seen step back and be like, oh, we were just clarifying in people's minds that you can't follow an illegal order. It's like, yeah, it's like going out and saying you can't touch a hot stove. Everybody knows that. Everybody understands that. But you're trying to cast aspersions on the president, saying that he is issuing these illegitimate orders. And then I saw some of them not just walk back the comments, but completely bend over backwards and say, that's not what I meant to say. I was saying something totally different, and flip-flopping on the issue. They only wanted to create a viral moment, in my opinion, try to draw attention to themselves and establish themselves as the main character. But it could literally mean, at best, somebody causes some irreparable harm and somebody loses their life, and at worst, multiple people lose their lives as a result of somebody not having all of the information and just following their own gut because they saw some wackadoodle senators on the left trying to make a political point. It's so dangerous that I'm really excited, I'm really glad that the Department of Justice and the Secretary of War is actually looking into this, because it has to have repercussions. You can't just go out there and say this kind of stuff and expect everything to be okay.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Rick, do you think this is what Mark Kelly wanted to have happen, or has this gone past him already?
No, it's exactly what he wanted and what the others wanted. I mean, remember, these people, they actually hate the rule of law. They hate the Constitution. They hate the idea of liberty in law. These are leftists that believe in anything goes, everything's okay, moral relativism, I make my own law, do whatever's right. And it's why what Luke said is exactly right. They'll do anything, say anything, they'll manipulate it. I mean, the dishonesty of the statements, the fact that they did the whole ad saying it's okay to disobey an illegal order, and then one of them immediately the next day or 2 days later says, "Oh no, President Trump hasn't given any illegal orders." Well, then why do this whole thing? The fact that Mark Kelly would lie through his teeth in that interview and say that President Trump is saying you should be put to death for following the Constitution. That is not what President Trump said at all. He said if you're committing sedition, there is a punishment for that called death. So it's just, the dishonesty is shocking. It's not surprising because this is the leftist playbook. These people don't, when there is no right and wrong, man, you do whatever you can do to get away with it and hold on to power. And that's where these people come from.
That's true. All right, let me show you what Patrick David said. He says Trump's not going to let it go.
I think normally they think they can get away with comments like this until they face a guy named President Donald Trump who sued and won money against George Stephanopoulos, YouTube, Twitter. How many other companies you want me to talk about that? He won so many different lawsuits, about to go after BBC. They don't realize they're going after somebody that's probably going to hold them accountable. And Mark Kelly, obviously, thank you for his service. He wrote a long tweet today. It's very obvious he's writing the tweet in response to say, here's my resume. I'm sorry I said this. Don't come after me. I'm a very important patriot. I love America. And on the other side, Hexet is like, you already crossed the line with the comments here. Just go read history with what happens with this. They crossed the line, and I highly doubt this administration is going to let this one go.
What do you think, Luke?
Well, they poked a bear. I don't think they thought through their actions. I think, as I said before, they were trying to do it all for political points, and then they crossed a line that was irreparable. And in theory, they were just trying to become the main character and create a viral moment. But in practicality, their words actually have consequences. I think fundamentally, they don't take this administration seriously. They in their minds think that this is just some political organization that they're going up against, that this is the Donald Trump of 2022, where you can kick down the door at Mar-a-Lago and raid, Melania's closet. But that's not the case. This is now the commander-in-chief, the one who is over the armed forces and the military. This is telling military members to subvert the orders that they might get and place in their mind doubt about the legitimacy of this president. I think that's kind of what it fundamentally goes to. We have heard over and over again from 2016, people like Hillary Clinton say Donald Trump was an illegitimate president. Election deniers. And now they're basically doing it again, saying that any orders that come from him are illegitimate. Why? Because politically, we disagree with him. And I think that is a major, major concern. And that's why I would encourage them to go take Rick Green's Constitution class. You use promo code SEDITION, you might be able to get 10% off your class.
I don't know. That's too many letters.
Wait, let me go make that code real quick. Hang on, I gotta get
Okay. All right, let me show you. Jesse Waters says this. The CIA agents confirm the hoax. Watch.
I sort of wanted her to keep talking. I mean, what foolishness. This is a woman who won a year ago by 0.3 of a percentage point in Michigan, by 19,000 votes out of 5 million cast. And she speaks like this: I want the people of Michigan, Arizona to know their senators are interested in sound bites and social media screeds rather than facts and figures.
So I talked to 2 CIA officers who said that this is a part of a larger hoax, and what they're doing here is they're trying to condition the country to prepare for something bad that's about to happen at the hands of Donald Trump. It's straight out of the CIA playbook. It's a destabilization operation where you get people to mistrust each other. And you do this because she's an analyst. And as an analyst, she would make sure what propaganda operations were successful, which ones weren't. So she knows what works. So the first part of the video, you establish authority. I'm CIA, I'm military, you need to trust us. Second part of the video, they introduce the threat. And the threat's not foreign, the threat's domestic, the threat's Donald Trump. And then at the end, they introduce the solution. What's the solution? You resist, you say no. But they don't give an option. They say this is an obligation for you to do. Now, she is being run because she didn't come up with this herself. She's a Brennan acolyte, and you usually don't have congressmen and senators doing anything together. They kind of hate each other. So in order to organize this had to have had some sort of handler telling her what to do. And it was risky because nothing like this has ever been done in the history of the country. And you can even tell because the media was skeptical. and they couldn't answer the question, so they hadn't even been read in on the operation. You see them fumbling and stumbling. And I'm glad that the U.S. military is now investigating this guy Kelly, because this is what we expect from Donald Trump 2.0. You can't have the deep state interfering with a duly elected presidency and get away with it. You got to draw the line in the sand, and you have to make examples out of people.
All right, so Rick, I liked this clip because what he shows, he laid it out, you know, that whoever CIA agents he talked to, it really does. The destabilization of the government, it is a magnificent setup for the next thing.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, I was thinking much more along the lines of what Luke was saying, in that, you know, you probably just have 6 members of Congress that like the limelight and want to have a video that goes viral. It just seemed like something the Democrat Party loves doing, just to take shots at President Trump, not thinking about the fact that it would destabilize so much. If what Jesse's saying is true and that there's, you know, an actual operation behind the scenes, you know, 5 years ago, I'd have said, oh, come on, that's not going to happen. Now, I would say they've already done it successfully. They've already subverted our election process successfully. They've already managed to, you know, literally take down a president. Thankfully, he was strong enough to come back. So I wouldn't put it past them at all. And it just goes back to the seriousness of what they were saying and what they were doing. And I guess I wouldn't put anything past them at this point. But I think Patrick Bet-David's point is really well taken. This stuff might have worked against somebody else. It ain't going to work against Trump. And this is why the prosecutions are so important. And I'm not talking about just, you know, maybe these guys. I'm talking about the people that clearly used our federal agencies, the undermining through the FBI, the undermining through the DOJ, what the J6 committee did. Those people have to be held accountable for their dishonesty and their lies. And if they broke laws, they should be prosecuted. And I don't think Trump is going to say, you know, well, I don't want it to look like revenge or look political, so let's not do it. No, he's going to say, go after him. Let's prove that if you do these things, there are consequences. If they don't prosecute those kind of people, they'll continue to use these methods.
Yes, without a doubt. Well, I'm glad he mentioned the media in there, because fallout at the British Broadcasting Corporation continues after two top bosses resigned following a leaked memo showing bias, anti-Semitism, and a doctored clip of President Trump from January 6. It resulted in the threat of $1 billion lawsuit from Trump. Paul Petit with FlashPoint is in Israel with the story.
The BBC, once considered a standard bearer of journalism, is in crisis mode. Senior executives stepped down after the leak that critics say shows the UK broadcaster is biased.
While this may have come as a shock to people, it definitely wasn't to honest reporting. We've been complaining about the BBC for many years now.
The backbreaker came after an edit in a documentary aired on the network. The memo pointed out separate parts of President Trump's speech on January 6th have been edited to make it appear he was inciting a riot.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
And I think that the president was deeply concerned by the editing, the purposeful and dishonest editing of his speech that was so clearly fake news.
The edit, however, is only part of the story. For months, allegations of bias have risen over the BBC's coverage of Israel's war against Hamas, especially by BBC Arabic.
I think the BBC has really become a propaganda tool for the most radical left and Islamists in the UK. Very sad.
Researchers, watchdogs, even the Israeli embassy in the UK have flagged BBC Arabic, leading it to issue hundreds of corrections on Gaza stories. According to the leaked memo that started the firestorm, the litany of examples include BBC Main News posting 19 stories about Israeli hostages taken by Hamas on October 7th. On BBC Arabic, there was no mention of hostages. By contrast, each article criticizing Israel on BBC News English was replicated on BBC Arabic.
The radical left wants to rid the world of Western influence around the world, and radical Islamists want to destroy the state and any vestiges of Christianity and Judaism and create a caliphate.
The BBC also pulled a high-profile Gaza documentary after reports its Gaza child narrator was the son of a Hamas official.
We must wonder, how was it that this child was the one that was chosen? You managed to find a boy who's the son of a senior Hamas commander.
After these fumbles, the BBC chair has promised internal reviews, more oversight, and greater transparency to restore trust and credibility, which has taken a hit.
I think the only thing that really forced the BBC into making the kinds of changes to win back that trust would be abolishing the license fee.
Reporting for FlashPoint in Jerusalem, I'm Paul Petit.
Okay, so BBC, once really regarded as excellence in journalism, and there's a lot of great people that have done things, the BBC. However, Luke, to say this tarnishes their reputation, there is no doubt when you see that edit side by side, there's no doubt what they were doing.
Don't you hate when you find out that voiceovers come from Hamas-linked individuals in your news broadcast programs? I mean, you can't make some of that stuff up. And we've seen that pattern not just with radicals being involved in the media, but also a bias of selectively editing clips, a purposeful bias in the newsroom when we saw I believe it was 60 Minutes, selectively edit Kamala Harris's clips to make her look sound a lot smarter, and selectively edit the President Trump's clips multiple times during the J6 committee hearings to make him sound as if he were trying to incite violence at the Capitol. It sounds like that happened also at the BBC, but they were trying to make him sound as if somebody was saying, like, go to the Capitol, storm the building, that sort of thing. They always left out peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. I was working for a political organization that was closely aligned with the Trump orbit in 2021 and 2022, around the time the J6 committee was going on, and I was pulling clips because we were pushing them out on social media, trying to, like, show the bias and expose it. And it was a pattern over and over again that even some mainstream journalists started to say, is like, why don't they play that clip where they say peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard? Why do they clip it at this part? Why do they move it at this next part and ignore the entire context? They even had to bring in a Hollywood producer from outside in California to try to make it spin up into a narrative that they wanted to present. And then the mainstream media took that and ran with it. Well, now they don't have committees like that. They have their entire news organizations who are doing it for them. And we also saw a lot of high-profile resignations from journalists who said, not only does this organization not reflect what I believe anymore as somebody who's trying to be an unbiased journalist, but also it doesn't reflect at least half of the United States or half of America. We saw that with AP, with people leaving the newsroom saying it's all woke liberal reporters, like writing horrific stories that as Christians we would look at and say that's an obvious political bias, and they would look at and say, well, this is the standard that we have in journalism, and they try to redefine journalism. So it's not surprising, but it's interesting to see that there's now come a reckoning because Donald Trump has been holding these organizations to account. They have to think twice about what they publish before they publish it to see if it's accurate, and he's been holding them to account through the civil lawsuit section of that mentality. So I'm encouraged to see that this is coming to light, but I'm discouraged to see just how prevalent it apparently has been.
Yeah, and it's obviously been very prevalent. And I think our eyes were first opened to it in 2020 with COVID and election and everything else, summer of love and peaceful, mostly peaceful protests. Rick, when you see this, this is why it's so important what you do there with your programming, what FlashPoint does, what Luke does. We must stay engaged because there's not a lot of people out there telling the truth.
Yeah, in the spirit of our friendly disagreements last night, I'm going to disagree with Luke. I just don't think there's any editing possible to make Kamala Harris sound smarter, because you first have to have something that sounds smart to make it smarter. I think what he meant to say is it made her sound less word salady, confused, is probably what he meant. But anyway,
to the gentleman from Texas, I will concede that point.
I do think, and it goes, I mean, Luke's spot on. Look, they do this stuff, and it's not only the editing, right? It's not only the just blatant dishonesty, it's the tone, or it's the choice of stories. I mean, man, think about all the times we saw the data where it would show, like, 90% negative articles on Trump and 90% positive articles on Biden, or whatever the comparison was. It's just they've been this way for a while. And so I just remind everybody, Hank's not with us tonight. what he said 3 years ago about how this corruption was going to be unveiled, discovered, the sunlight was going to be shown on it, and that some of these major news agencies were going to go belly up, they were going to go under, they were going to get bought by others. I think that's still going to come true. And so far, there's not only the U.S. companies that have really been struggling and made some big changes to not be quite as bad, but now this story tonight reminds me that this could happen internationally as well. And so I'm hoping there's a reckoning coming. People have lost faith. I mean, the good thing is we have the social media, we have FlashPoint, we have the ability for people to find truth. And Gene, to your point, what all three of us are doing and the other people you have on FlashPoint, it's vital. And your diet of information matters. That's why you can't just turn on the news and hope that you're getting a truth from anyone out there. You really got to test these people out. Sure. And thankfully, FlashPoint has proven itself over the last 5 years.
Yes, thankfully, for sure. All right, let me show you this. Let's change gears here because we haven't had, it's been several shows without a clip from my friend, Senator John Kennedy. And I just feel like it's important for us to dive into Kennedy's clips. Watch.
The first reason I came to the floor tonight is to say to my colleagues, pretty please, with sugar on top. I'll even add a cherry. I'll even throw in a coupon for a personal pan pizza. Please, let's do another reconciliation bill. And when I say we, I'm saying the Republican majority. Let's invite our Democratic colleagues to join with us. And I hope after inviting them, I sincerely hope they'll take us up on it. But if they don't, and they don't have to, it's a free country, it only takes a majority to pass the reconciliation bill. And after we do the second one, we can do a third one before the midterms. If we do not take advantage of this opportunity to lower the cost of living for the American people, for reconciliation, when we only need 51 votes to do it, it's legislative malpractice. It's legislative malpractice. It is dumb as a bowl of noodles. So that's my plea to my colleagues tonight. I'm not saying we've done nothing for 5 months. We've done a lot of other things for 5 months. But we haven't done anything to lower the cost of living for the American people. And we can't look back. We've lost 5 months, but we should get started tomorrow.
Amen to that. All right, dumb as a bowl of noodles. Okay, speaking of that, we'll go around the room here. We got 4 minutes. And it just feels right to start with you, Luke, after that comment. For some reason.
I appreciate that, Gene.
Yes.
I knew that was coming. I saw it a mile away when I heard him say it, but I appreciate it. I'll embrace it.
Okay.
I think that the senator is spot on with the entire affordability issue, with the entire economy issue, and even with the discussion about the government shutdown and Congress not being able to fulfill its fundamental responsibility to the American people. It's just so frustrating every time that we have the majority in the House, the Senate, and the White House that it just doesn't seem like we can get affordability accomplished or have any sort of fiscal monetary policy that we screamed about for years during the Tea Party. And like the last time Congress actually passed a balanced budget, I was a year and a half, and I'd like to think I'm young, but I have lower back pain, and cars made the year I was born qualify for vintage license plates. So it's been a while since we've actually established any sort of budget here in the United States, and that Congress has fulfilled that fundamental duty. So I want the senator to continue saying things like that. Let's get reconciliation through. Let's get a balanced budget through. Let's stop with these CRs. Let's stop with the games and the gimmicks and actually get the economic message out in front of the American people with real solutions ahead of the midterms.
I think it's brilliant, Luke. And I believe the American people agree with you 100%. And they're like, hey, we got you in office. We got our team in there, and they're not getting anything done. Rick, help it make sense.
Yeah, man, I wish I had known you were going to play that clip. I would have had a bowl of noodles and been eating it when you came back to me. It would have been great TV. That would have just been a good moment. But I think this has been the most frustrating thing about the Republican Party to me in 30 years of doing this. Back when I was, in the legislature, all the different things that we've done, is that when they get the opportunity, and I should say when we get the opportunity and we get a lever of power, we don't use it. We don't take advantage of the opportunity to take ground back. And so I would say this to our audience at FlashPoint. It applies to all of us. We have to seize the day. This is the Carpe Diem moment in Dead Poet Society, all right? Just imagine Robin Williams is whispering behind you, Carpe Diem. Seize the day, boys. And here's what I mean. You may not be in Congress, but the wind is at our back after all the things that have happened this year with the assassination of Charlie, with the assassination attempts on Trump, with all the good things Trump's been doing. The wind's at our back. People are hungry for truth. Take them the truth. Get a biblical civics class going in your living room or at your church. Invite people over and start talking about these things. Send them FlashPoint clips. Every time you see a social media post from FlashPoint, share it with your friends and family. We can go out there and gain ground this year if we'll take advantage of the 250th and we'll do the things we've been given the opportunity to do. We cannot miss this opportunity. Congress fumbles the ball all the time, but we the people can pick it up and make sure we win.
That's right. Good point. And speaking of biblical civics, listen, go to the website, biblicalcivics.com. You can download. Rick's made it a really great deal. And if you want the actual physical part of biblical citizenship, you can buy that as well. But we need everybody to get trained. This is not something that is, we've talked about it last year a lot, the last couple of years. You can do this. You can do this and understand. You'll enjoy the process. So I want to thank, of course, Rick Green and our friend Luke Ball for being on tonight. Scheduled to appear on Thanksgiving, Lance Wallnau, Rick Green, Dutch Sheets, and my wife Terry will be here. I have no idea what she's going to say, so make sure if you're doing something else on Thanksgiving, you record the show and you come back and watch it because it's going to be a great show. We're going to have a great time. Thank you for being a part. Go buy your turkey. It's not too late. Go out to the grocery store, get all your stuff, get it made. Luke, I hope you make it all right. Remember, we're right to center you.
Well, I have to use a chicken.
Chicken.
FlashPoint Army, I'm excited to announce that we're having our Made in America sale. We just put huge discounts on all of our products that are made right here in the USA. MyPillow bed pillows, body pillows, go anywhere pillows, and bolster pillows. They're all made with my patented adjustable fill so you get the best sleep of your life. And how about our mattresses, mattress toppers, mattress pads, adjustable bed frames, mattress foundations, and so much more. All made right here in the USA. And we've even expanded beyond just quality sleep. Like the cross I wear every day, now it's available in both men and women's. And how about my coffee? The greatest coffee in history. And we've even expanded into health and wellness with everything from ashwagandha and apple cider gummies to liquid joint formulas, body and beauty detox kits, liquid complex for heart and brain support, Cold Buster all-in-one immune formula, and Vibe, the best superfood ever, and Vibe Plus collagen. Fish oil omega-3 pills, pro and prebiotic gut formula, prostate complete, and a natural sleep formula. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-975-4719. Use promo code FLASH to get huge savings with our Made in the USA sale. Thank you and God bless.
This is the FlashPoint Television Network.